Well, we've been in this job at Distillery for almost 2 months now, and it's certainly been eventful, I think we can say that. We've had 4 players in, 1 player out, multiple staff changes, a warning sign on the pitch and plenty of missed opportunities off it. But what on earth is going to happen next? Because after all of that, we finally go and get into our first league game today. Come and see all the news with me. It's time for part 2 of our Build a Nation. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 2 of Lifting Spirits from Distillery with me, Daniel. We are back today for our first league game of the season, away at pre-season title favourites Bangor FC. And what a nice fitting tribute that it's the namesake of our last Build a Nation club over here. It's going to be a difficult test, and we've already had a wake-up call as we mentioned. That came in a cup game a couple of weeks ago. And after it, I think it's going to be a busy end to the transfer window here. We need to get players in. We need to make our squad a bit stronger, or this could be a very difficult year. We've adjusted the tactics too, so if you're looking forward to seeing all of that and what players have come in and out of the club, then please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Our first game on camera is always a fun one, but if you want to stay up to date and see the rest after, subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. We're 2 episodes into The Head Coach. The third one will be out at 3:30 today. You can find that playlist up in the eye above with loads of other FM23 stuff and the Twitch channel where we'll be back tomorrow morning too. But thank you very much for your incredible support with FM23 so far as I take you through 2 months of chaos at Distillery. Let's go and start by having a look at staffing, because there have been a lot of additions on that front and certainly some additions that were much needed. You can see we've now got a fully employed team, but let's have a look at the people that came in to make that possible. We'll go to our transfer history and we'll start with the staffing. And here we go, following me, 6 additions into the club, 5 of them to the senior team. First up, Director of Football Andy McCulloch, 5 for judging ability and potential, popped up in the backroom team advice meeting in our first day at the club and joined a day later. As did head physio Owen Sinclair. Oh, he's not very good. 3 for physiotherapy. Christopher Coyle is chief scout, 4 for judging ability and potential. 2 normal scouts, 1 is slightly better than the chief one, and the other one very much the same for ability, but slightly better for potential judgment, which kind of fits into the theme here. Everything is sort of suggesting that long term we're going to be focusing on youth, but at the moment we've got to get jobs done, and that may mean just abandoning our policy. Of course, we've not got the budget to do that completely, but just to get 2 or 3 experienced players in, it's not going to go amiss here, is it? We've got 1 youth assistant manager coming in who's pretty awful at everything, but at least we've now got a fully employed team that can share out responsibilities and that can actually go and look for players, which is something we needed pretty desperately. So before we go and look at the new features and how things have been affected, let's start by having a look at the players that have left and joined this football club. So before we go and get into some of the new features, see how we've been using the squad planner and how the supporter confidence looks here, let's go and have a look at the transfers in and out so far in my tenure. There has been one out, and it's an out that I wasn't disappointed with, to be honest. Johnny McCaw was the winger who we were most disappointed by in our first episode when we went the squad for the first time. He has gone to Armour on a free, and to be fair, he looks okay in terms of attributes, but he wasn't my type of player. I didn't really want to play with inverted wingers, didn't really want wide men who couldn't cross and dribble, so to get him off the books, it wasn't a disaster for me. Let's have a look at the 4 that are in though. We started with a much needed centre-half, that man Luke Grimley. He was the best player that came up from our first recruitment focus. From Sandy Hill on a free, can't head the ball, hasn't got any strength, but is still a big upgrade on what we had because we didn't have a senior centre-half. So he comes in at 28 years of age, he can run, so he can play alongside the experienced ones. It gives us a little bit more than what we had. Not a lot though. Let's move on to the second one, which is far more into the experienced boat. Stuart Thompson is a 37-year-old versatile defender, still fairly good physically, and very good across any position in the back 4. Had an awful debut in the cup game, but that was partly my fault. Does give us a little bit of flexibility though when it comes to a tactic. We'll talk about why in a moment. Ideally though, I'd like to get a centre-half in with better positioning and give this guy a chance on the bench, because as a backup for all 4 positions, he'd be a very good player. But much needed experience into the club, so no complaints about him. He is joined by our first loanee though, because as the summer's gone on, I've started to get a bit desperate and understand that our squad maybe isn't as strong as I think in certain areas. So adding some loan players from higher divisions is going to be crucial this year, particularly now because the appearance fees for Grimley and Thompson have already used up the wage budget. So Aaron Brown was the first to come in. He comes from Ards on a loan for the season, no wage contribution. He's a versatile player again, can play up front naturally or off either wing. Has got a little bit of experience from England, Colchester, Bury and the likes, but he's a young Northern Irish player. He's 3-star ability already, big potential, decent quality technically, and off both wings could be a bit of a threat for us as well. So just gives us an extra option, but as it stands at the moment, he's going to be our starting striker for the season. And the reason for that is the man who came in 1 hour before kickoff today. Jaden Withers has joined from Cliftonville on loan, a side we managed in FM20 of course, and he is brilliant. 3.5-star ability winger, pace, decent crossing ability, a good first touch and determined. He's got all of the basic core attributes we need, and at 17 years of age he's going to play in a slightly more advanced position, and I think he's going to be a superstar for us. I'm not going to try and do anything fancy with him. Get the ball, beat your man for pace and put in a first time cross. Hopefully Aaron Brown's on the end of it. Hopefully there's a couple of players attacking the box, McKee or somebody else like that. That's all I can hope for, because at the moment we've got to go to basics and this guy does it very well. You did notice when we were going through the transfer centre, I'm still desperately looking for a second centre half. We begged to Ballymena United for Craig Farquhar. I'm hoping he'll come in because he's 6'3", he's pretty decent, and the scout's suggesting he'd be 4-star ability. Again, they've not asked for a wage contribution, so fingers crossed on that one. We've got Dean Moore who can potentially come in. I don't mind him joining, but he's not a big upgrade, and he's awful in the air, which is the one thing we've got in centre midfield at the moment. And given how poor we've been from open play, I don't really want to lose that set piece threat. So I'm in an R in on that. And if we sign him, we then go over our wage budget because of the appearance fees. And if I'm going to spend one more to do that, I kind of want it to be a better player than him, with the greatest of respect. And a player in a position we need more, to be honest. So give me your opinion on those, what you think of the signing so far. It's very clear, we're still short of a centre-half. We haven't improved in goal, and the keeper let in a couple of pretty poor ones in the last game. But overall, it's not too bad. I still think we'll be mid-table. I still think we'll keep our job. But the cups are going to be tricky. We've seen that for sure. If I show you in the schedule the one we did play, a 3-0 defeat away at Police Service of Northern Ireland in the League Cup first round. It was Tony Tomelty after the break with a brace, and Stuart Thompson's lack of positioning, Ethan Carey's lack of ability. It didn't really help us out, to be honest. Both of them had poor games, and individual errors cost us. It was as simple as that. So after we get this game and the next cup one out the way, I think that's when we're going to start to learn about this team. Let's go and have a look at what the media prediction is. It was 9th before we got players in. What is it like now? It's 8th, and it's above the team we lost 3-0 to. That's not a good sign, is it? Because they were really, really dominant in that second half. Moyola Park are now favourites for the league. They must have signed a few. That means Bangor now are second favourites. That's where we're heading today. But before we go and get into that game, I just want to show you a couple of the things I've been using in the summer. Because of course the difference between this save and our head coach one is that we're in charge of everything at the club. And we need to have a bit more of an in-depth understanding. The financial side, the recruitment side, and particularly the development long term. So let me show you firstly the fan confidence. Because the makeup's quite different to our head coach club here. So the big difference looking at this one compared to what we've got in the head coach is that there is a lot less casual fans and a lot more of a core group and a fair amount more family as well. So although we've not got many season ticket holders, although there's not many social media followers, it's not a massive club in terms of fan base. But the core of it is there week in, week out, which will hopefully give us a bit of stability this year. The dynamics for the club do not look good. In terms of team cohesion, I've basically dedicated a session a week to team bonding. And as you can see, it's having no impact. That's one of the joys of being a semi-pro club. And then if we go and have a look at the squad planner, I've been loving this feature generally in FM, and in the head coach, it's been really helpful after the director of football's made signings to sort of assess where my squad is. It's a little bit trickier here because there are some problems with players on amateur contracts being recognised. You're having to do a lot more work to keep it up to date. But overall, it's looking pretty good at the moment. We've not got too many weaknesses left, but we do need a couple to be sorted quick. I've got to be honest, the main thing I've been using at the moment is these recruitment focuses. I love the upgrades to scouting, not getting hundreds of messages in the inboxes and getting a lot of suggestions for pretty good players. And that's where most of them have come from this year. We've been setting focuses in those regular meetings, and now we're starting to get the rewards in terms of signings. 11 days to go in the transfer window, and we probably need one or two more. Looks like we're going for loans now though. But with all of that off the pitch stuff talked about, we'll get into it a little bit more during the season. We'll touch on things here and there as they crop up. I want to go and get into our first league game of the season, away to one of the big boys, and with some slight tactical tweaks from our cup game, and of course a big signing on the left wing. Let's see where we are for this season. There's got to be an improvement, and there's got to be some more positive signs. If we get through the fixtures and into the game, the recommendation is to make a few changes. And they're playing a weird back three with a couple of holding midfielders. It's actually our backup tactic, which is hilarious, the one that we're training at the moment. But all I need is centre-halves. If I had decent centre-halves at this club, we'd be playing that tactic now. At the moment, we're struggling to get two together, as in the presence of just over 200 fans at Bangor, we're going to make our league debut in this Build a Nation save. I really don't know what to do at centre-half. Thompson is a massive improvement on Curley overall, because he's a better player, he's more rounded, but Curley's got great positioning, and although he can't jump, although he can't run, although he's got no strength and stamina, I just feel he might be the better option today because the positioning cost us last time. Despite that, I'm going to leave Thompson in. I'm going to see how he gets on. We've got a cup game in midweek which we're going to have to prepare for. We'll get to rotate a bit then. But this is the 11 I've gone for the first league game. We've got Ethan Carey, the first choice goalkeeper. Smith and Warnock, the fullbacks on defend. Thompson and Grimley in at centre-half. Ballantyne playing in that deep lying role. He's the best defensive-minded midfielder, and he's one of the two ones that are very tall as well. Josh Lynch is playing alongside him. He won't be touching the left wing now, with Robinson and Withers at the club. Bennett is playing off the right. I talked about getting rid of him, but no one wants him, unsurprisingly, on 50 quid a week. And to be fair, he's the only real fit right winger at the club, so he's going to have to play for now. Mark McKee is in behind Aaron Brown, with Withers making his debut off the left. He's only been here an hour, so it's a bit tough to call him the saviour, but I could do with a big performance from him here. If we have a look in terms of the tactical instructions, I've really stripped it back. It did seem that the lad struggled a bit in that last game, trying to do a bit too much, trying to be a bit too complicated off the ball, and defensively, we were just inviting pressure. So I've actually pushed it up a bit here. We aren't one of the worst sides in the league, so why defend like we are? We're going to go for the mid-block. We're going to sit pretty averagely there. In terms of transition, we're going to distribute wide, we're going to distribute quick, and we're going to counter. And in possession, we'll go for low crosses. But otherwise, we're training twice a week. Let's not put loads of instructions on. Let's get the team cohesion up. Let's practice set pieces. And let's take advantage of our height. That's all we're going to try and do in this game. Can we do it? Let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think of the signings? Where are we going to finish? As we head into the first game and try and get a better idea. And here are the teams. 6 changes for the hosts. We've not made quite as many as that. I have no idea what to expect here. Are we going to step up? Are we going to have a shocking display? If the last one's anything to go by, there's going to be a lot of individual errors. Let's go and get through to it. Let's go and cause an upset. There's not really pressure on this one for us. It's a nice position to be in. I think we can rule out a first season promotion. So let's just go and enjoy the occasion and hopefully get some sort of result. Well, we're back in the 24th minute, and to be honest, this has been a terrible game so far, which I have no complaints about. I do have a complaint about that touch from Aaron Brown, as the long ball forward goes straight to Grimley. Not the best clearance, and we're under pressure. Ballantyne using his height in there to win the header. Bennett back to Smith, who chips forward. We've just not got that focal point up front. Could do with a target man, really. Might chuck one of the midfielders up front. As Lynch gets it in the middle to Bennett. Through ball towards Brown. He's in one-on-one. That's a brilliant finish. Out of nowhere as well. We've not managed to get in behind once in this game. But with 24 gone, we take the lead, and putting Brown through the middle has made a difference. And Bennett, fair play, that's a great assist. And we're back just 5 minutes later, as this being an awful game I was about to say is a very good thing for us, because it means they're not creating much. Grimley wins a header for McKee in the middle. Can't quite get into it as a shadow striker. I might adapt his role as we go along, as the through ball's to Neil, he's in one-on-one, and that's a good curl finish. But again, Thompson caught positionally in behind and just can't deal with it. We're a centre-half away, that's all we're missing. And at half-time, that's how it's going to stay. Probably a fair scoreline on what we've seen so far, and you can see from the stats, it's basically neck and neck. But this is how it looked at half-time in that cup game, and we came out from the break and we were woeful. So what we're going to do is ask the lads to keep going until full-time. They all look delighted, but will they keep their performance up? That's the big question in this second half. And coming up to the hour mark, we've got to throw deep in our own territory, and you can see how deep our team is there. There isn't really an outlet. You'd want Brown to stay a bit higher up the pitch, but I can understand why he doesn't, as Grimley heads away to Lynch, who flicks on for Withers. First time we've seen the new loan signing open his legs and run. It goes back to Ballantyne, through towards McKee. Oh, good effort. Took it on the half volley left-footed, and it's just wide of that far post. Really nice little move that though on the counter, and we have got a threat against them. I'm looking at subs in a moment. I think I'm going to have to push the fullbacks on in future, because I know they are fullbacks on defend naturally, but it is harming us here. So with just over 15 to go, we're going to make a change in a moment. But now, we've got my old superstition. During a highlight, I never make changes. It's always a superstition of conceding a goal as they go long over the top. We might let one in anywhere here, as I don't know what Stuart Thompson was doing. Completely threw me off his wild karate kick as Hughes puts a shocking effort wide. The flag was up to spare his blushes, but let's go and make some subs. We've got, I think, 5. We had 5 in the cup. McKee's knackered. I don't know if I want to take him off. I'm going to bring Clougherty on for Ballantyne. I'm going to bring Robinson on for Withers on the left-hand side. I'm going to bring McFarnock on for McKee. I'm going to take the gamble. And I'm going to look at Aaron Brown perhaps, or Bennett. I'm going to go Brown out wide on the right. Bennett replaced by Shearer. And then we've got one change left, which I'm going to save, but we'll probably make it a bit later on. 15 to go, it's level pegging. I'd happily take this at the moment. Though we're back with 10 minutes to go. Carey's got the ball in his own box. Plays out to Grimley and wide to Aaron Brown. Can we find that opening to steal it late on? Clougherty hooves forward towards Shearer. It's not the best ball. Neil can bring it away. It's a good one forward. It's a 3-on-3. Thompson's been caught all over the place. And thank God Carey's there at the back. I'm going to have to make that change, aren't I? I know Grimley's struggling physically, and Thompson's had a good game, but it's just the crucial moments, as, again, Bangor can bring it out comfortably, and I feel the inevitable's on the way. I'm not sure why we're seeing this as a key highlight, but hopefully it leads to something for us, and it might do, because it's a defensive error. Falls for Shearer, the sub. Oh, that's a great finish. Keeper might have got a hand to it, but it's into the bottom corner. It's his first ever goal for Distillery. And that is the impact you want a super sub to make. 7 minutes to go. Thompson off. Curley on. And I might go and resort to type here. I know that it's not the best way to try and see out a game. But I'm going to drop the defensive line. I'm going to drop to a low block. And let's just hope, as we go and get the time wasting on for the first time in FM22, that it will pay off and we can get ourselves the win. Let's slow the ball down when we get it with the keeper. Fingers crossed, we can hold on. This would be a cracking start. And to be fair, as we're about to hold on, I do feel a bit better now for seeing that the police service have won again as well. What a result that is. I was feeling really down and worried about this save. After seeing that cup game, I was panicked. But that was a fabulous performance. We looked rock solid for the most part. And if we can get in that centre half from Ballymena, I think this is going to be a really solid year. Super sub makes the difference. It is a brilliant win for Distillery. We start the season with 3 points, but let's see when we're going to be back. Well, that's quite a nice touch. You get 45 quid if you win a game, which basically covers a third of our wage bill. So I'm definitely not going to complain about that. Withers made his actual professional debut, having come on loan from Cliftonville. We won't have the same issue if Farquhar comes in because he's a little bit more experienced. But let's go and have a look at this schedule. It's probably not going to be long before we're back as we try and get the month view up again. And the reason I say that is because I want to show transfer deadline day. I've got a feeling there's going to be loan signings flying about. It's going to be chaotic. There's probably going to be a few players on the move. And I want to make sure that you guys see it. So the plan is we're going to come back for transfer deadline day and Queen's University. And then after that, we'll leave it 2 or 3 months. We'll make sure that we get through lots of games. But I think it's important we show that. And after this game, I'm interested to see how much difference 1 or 2 signings can make. Because I never expected it, having watched that cup game 2 weeks ago. But let me know in the comments what you thought of the performance, what you've thought of the signings that we've met so far. Do you think the staff are going to be able to produce any more goods? Don't forget, we don't use the player or staff search screens here, so we're entirely reliant on our recruitment focus and on that scouting to deliver for us. Let me know in the comments what you think and how we'll get on this season. If you did enjoy it though, please do add a thumbs up and subscribe for daily FM23 content. This one will be back tomorrow at 11:30 AM, but in the meantime, we're back this afternoon with the head coach. Episode 3, transfer deadline day over there. And it wasn't quite such a good start with our first club in that one. You can find that playlist up in the eye above, as well as our Twitch channel where we're live every day during the beta. There's also plenty of FM23 save ideas, so please do give them a go. A massive thank you for your support already. You can find links to all the other platforms down in the description below and ways to support the channel too. But above my head now is our head coach story. Please do give it a try if you haven't. And hopefully I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for deadline day. I think a pretty chaotic one on the cards with Distillery.